Let's just wing it. Hey everybody, welcome to another video, a little tutorial here. I'm trying something new, doing it live on Twitch. Don't have as much time as I used to, so this is a little bit of a experiment. One thing I do want to say, I hit 100k on YouTube. Congratulations, yay! If you see a lot of little dudes down below here, that's actually people hanging out in the chat right now and their little avatars. I want to talk about implementing text into ASEPRITE because that's something a lot of people actually have trouble with, and I wasn't totally aware of this until a lot of people start asking on Twitch about it. So I want to show you a little website that I use, a few things to keep in mind. And I also want to show you how you can do a few things with the text. So it's all about font and text today in ASEPRITE. I'm doing this on a Windows PC, so if you're on a Mac, it might be slightly different, but it should be somewhat the same. All right, so the first off, one thing that I want to get into is the website that I use for downloading my fonts. And I use a website here called The Font. And one thing I want to show you guys, which is quite important, is that if you hover over here, there's something called pixel/bitmap, and that's the segment we want to look into. So I can zoom in here if you can see it a little better. There we go, pixel bitmap. So that's the one you want to go into if you want to find pixel fonts. Once you're in here, you can see there's a bunch of fonts here, all different looking and all fancy in their own right. If you want to see if whatever you're writing works with the text, you can actually write something here. So we can say, hello, I'm a giant poop. And I can press enter. And you can see I can see all the fonts here with the text that I just implemented. All right, so one thing that's really important to keep in mind when we download a font here is that over here to the right, you can see there is a little number next to PX. And before I download the font and show this, I just want to go into ASEPRITE real quick here and show you why this number is important. That number is basically when we open up the text box here, the number you have to set here, so the font size. So if you see here, it says 27 with this one, for example, and I downloaded this font and put it into ASEPRITE, I would have to write 27 here and write my text here. The one I have here is set to, let's try and say something random like 14 here for this font. You can see how it looks a little bit weird. I know this font here needs to be 8, so if I write 8, you can see how it becomes pixel perfect. And that's why this number here is very important to keep in mind. 18 and 16 is usually the number you mostly have to go with. So if you forgot the number, you can always try 8. 16 or anything that multiply with itself like that. All right, so there we go. That's the number you need to keep in mind. That's the website where we get the fonts. Next up, let's try and download a font and get it into ASEPRITE. So I found a font here. You can click on the font and then you'll get to see all the things that this font contains. So you can see all the simple letters and everything that this font can actually write, and you can see the respective letter that it belongs to. Let's try and download this. So once you download the file here from the website, you usually get a little zip file. I'm gonna right click on it here and just extract files here. In this case, you might want to do it in a different way. Then you get a few files here, and all you want to do is right click on the text file here. You can open it up to see if it's the right one and install it here. But I usually just right click on it and then install for all users, or install, doesn't matter. Just want to install it. And there you go. We installed the new font. And now when we head into ASEPRITE, we should now be able to find the font here, Nokia, there it is. And it was 8 if I remember right. And we'll say, am I a giant poop? Question mark. I am indeed. Look at that. That's how easy it is to implement fonts into ASEPRITE. Ooh, that was a great video, Mort. I hope you learned something. I hope you can use this for something. I know it's something a lot of people have been asking. It's hard to get text into ASEPRITE. But that's basically what you do. Let's just quickly recap everything. We go into that font. We make sure to keep the number over here in the right in mind when we download a font. And that's the number that we want to write into ASEPRITE here. And in this case, it was 8. There we go. I'm sad now because I'm a giant poop. And that's how we implement fonts into ASEPRITE. That's content right there. All right, so you download a pixel font and that's cool. You can now write text in ASEPRITE, but another thing that we want to do is also make our text look kinda cool. It's easy to just get a blank text into ASEPRITE, but if you want to stylize it a little bit, I want to show you a few things that you can look up to get some inspiration, or just a few things to keep in mind. So one thing that I always recommend people is looking up reference, and one website that I really like using is the website here called Sprite Resources. It's basically a website that archives sprites from games from whenever and up to now. And you can search like text or font in here and you'll get a bunch of different results. I'll try and be sure to link this down in a comment below so you can check out all the links that I've been talked about in this video. But you can see different ways people are styling these, and in the beginning it's okay to somewhat copy some of these, try and take a little bit of a spin on it. So like, let's say we see something like let's take something like this menu font here. I'm gonna click in, I'm gonna see what's going on here, copy this, go into a new file, paste that in here, and I'll see, okay, this is basically a drop shadow, so I'll just remove some of these and use it as inspiration here. So I'll take this. All right, so we'll see, we'll write something here. This was supposed to be 8, and we'll say text style. Ooh, that's so epic. Why did it? Text style. Epic. All right, so we want to make a drop shadow on this. If you saw my last tutorial, you'll remember that we can make an outline, and I'm not going to tell you how, but you can watch that video if you want to know how. So a little bit of more content for you to watch through. So we make a drop shadow there, and now I could just straight up copy this, but I want to try something else. So instead of making it blue here, why don't we take and select this bit here, and make it orange, and I'm gonna take my bucket tool, make sure that continuous is turned off, paint that in there, and we'll take a yellow one here and just slightly do it a little bit different. And you can see here how my text now looks styled. Might want to select this top bit here and make it a little more yellow there. And now when we're on it, why not make a highlight as well? So I'm gonna select just one line here and fill that in with white, and there we go. We made a text style. So my point with this was really that I would suggest that you go in, look up a bunch of different pixel styles, text styles, try and see what pattern recurs a lot. For example, one thing could be make an outline on this again. Just kind of play around. It often comes to outlines and drop shadows. That's something that often does a lot to text. You can see here I just put an outline on this and it again began to look even more cool. We can go in here, make the drop shadow a different color, and then make an outline on it. So you can see it's just mostly drop shadows, minor things like that. So it's really little things that you have to keep in mind. And one thing I like to do when I study these kind of things is I look at it and I try to see, if I had to create this, what steps would I have to go through? So let's take this font here for an example, just to study a text real quick. So I would see here, what pattern, that's the thing. What is the pattern that keeps recurring on all these pieces? Well, the pattern for this would be, let's take just this letter here, remove the background. So I would say it's the normal font. So let's try and recreate this one as well. So we take the font here, I'll just write I. That's the letter. I'll do a small I. This one is basically first a letter, then we have a gradient of some sort that's going through the letter. Then we have a outline. So I'll make an outline on this. All right, and then the outline is colored. So that way I've just studied this piece of art and I know this is the steps that I need to do if I want to make a text that looks the same like this on the image here. It's not completely the same, but you get the gist. That's the way I kind of study things, and I know that's the step I would have to go through if I were to recreate something in this style. And again, when you recreate someone else's style, try and flip it or look at two things at the same time. So instead of just copying this style here, let's try and instead of copying one person, let's take two people's work, combine it and make it my own thing. So now we're going to combine these two things here. So I'm gonna write Mort just because that's me, I guess, and that's an easy thing to work with. I like I like that this over here has a cool gradient, but instead of making it yellow, why don't we make it blue instead? So we'll take a blue color, do the same thing. We'll make a gradient down here, and we'll just kind of keep going here like that. Take the next font. So I look at another person's work and I try to make it my own by changing it up with something that I find kind of cool. This might not be the best thing you've ever seen, but I just kind of want to give you an idea of how you can do this. I really like the drop shadow, so I'm gonna make a drop shadow on this like that. But I really like the colored bit here, so let's try and do something like that. So if we take the blue, we could even take up here in the top bits here, we could make that like blue. So if we make sure that the two first line here are colored, and then one more time, let's make a new outline around this just to try our own thing out. Maybe instead of making the outline, let's actually be a little bit crazy here and make it white. Crazy, I know. Insane, look at that. I'm just putting outlines and drop shadows on it. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just doing random things. And if it doesn't look good, you just delete it and try something else. Boom, there you go. I hope that makes some sense. This is my first video that I kind of record while doing it live on Twitch, so hopefully it wasn't too confusing. But overall, I just wanted to show you, look up references, try weird things out, experiment, just have fun. My main tip that I want to give away is don't spend too long trying to refine something if you don't like it. It's better to just get something down quick and see how it kind of looks. And if you find that quick looking nice, you can add on to it and adjust it and clean it up. So my pattern is always just kind of like throw things at the canvas. If I don't like it, I remove it, throw some new stuff at the canvas until there comes something that I like. Because it's easier to do a lot of small random things, and when something comes up that you like, it's easy to refine it. We can even do something silly like duplicate this, Q shift it, and bam. I don't know what this is. But there we go. That's a new font. There you go. Did I like it? No. All right, fine. I'll make something different. Yeah. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. If you like what you saw, make sure to give the video a like. If you want to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe. With that said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye. I think that is just the first video that we have recorded on Twitch. I hope that's gonna be okay.